I work very closely with universities, with companies of different sizes, locally, regionally, internationally, to help them to guide their research and development operations through the different stages until protection and afterwards commercialization from, of course, the legal perspective. We put different hats at different stages. We put our legal hat to help them from the legal perspective, our technical hat to help them from the technical perspective, and our business hat as well to help them a little bit to package all this from the business perspective. Business is extremely important. Everything Joy said is very, very important. Things need to make sense from the business perspective, and the law is there to help you achieve your business objectives. So the purpose in itself is not to create a company, or the purpose is not to obtain a patent, or is not to obtain a trademark. The objective is you achieve commercially a success, and you achieve your commercial objectives which you set, and we help you define the legal strategy to help you achieve your commercial objectives. And this is how the law should be seen and should be used. So for startups, it's extremely, I will focus my discussion about startups because I know that there are a lot of startups here, and I enjoy personally working a lot with startups. So for startups, IP is extremely important. The law is important. In the beginning of your journey, you will put a lot of resources, a lot of money into your business operations, and the question is how to balance your budget between business and between law. Now, of course, it depends on what kind of business you're in, what kind of startup you're in. For some types of businesses, for some types of projects, IP will do perfect sense. Patents is important. For other types of businesses where the focus is more on the business, on new business models, for example, so patents become less relevant. So it's really about what you're doing, and then you should look how to enhance your position from the legal perspective. IP is very important to protect your assets. So if your assets are on the technology side of things, you are in deep technology, you are coming up with the new systems, with the new devices, with a new innovation from the technical perspective, you're solving technical problems. So it's very important to think about getting patent protection. Patents are important to achieve business success. Again, a patent is not a goal in itself. A patent is a mean for you to protect yourself, to protect your assets, to boost the value of your business, to attract investors, to get into the business ring, into the business battle. A patent can really give you some kind of leverage. When you are a startup, you are vulnerable. You don't have the resources big companies have. We are not in a charity kind of society when it comes to business, to the business world. So there is no free lunch, as everyone knows. A patent is there to protect you and give you some kind of leverage. They can secure you a chair to sit with larger companies to discuss collaboration in many occasions, and this depends really on the value of your technology and the value of your patent. So it's very important you look into what you're doing and consider if a patent is relevant for you, and then consider how to protect your assets very early in the process, because there are many legal requirements to get a patent, and one of them is novelty. Of course, I will not dive into technical or legal details here, but it's important that to know one thing. Novelty is very important. If you have a new invention, don't disclose it until you secure at least a filing for your patent application. A study made by MIT, I've conducted an executive program at MIT the last year, a one-year program focused on innovation management, and I've learned a lot. It was a fantastic experience. I've done it at the age of 40. So it's a midlife career kind of new education, which I consider extremely valuable. So a new study by MIT found that those who have a patent have 87 times more chances to succeed in businesses than other companies. And of course, here, it's a study made on enterprises between 1995 and 2005, 1995 to 2005, on hundreds of companies, and this is one of the findings.
And nowadays, all what they talk about is exit, exit, exit. So what happens to the actual business? I mean, so I just want to understand, between the IP and the exit, what happens in between, and why people keep talking about the exit all the time, of course the IP as well. So just if you maybe can explain to us those two terminologies and what happened in between those two as a business.
Sure. So the number one job of the CEO is to raise money. Let me just be clear. That's not me making that up. You ask everybody in Silicon Valley. The number one job of a CEO is to raise money. Okay? In order to raise money, you have to tell the venture capitalists that there is some exit strategy. Like I said earlier, they have to see that their money, you got to remember, they are not investing their own money. They're investing limited partners' money. They have investors who are investing in them to invest.
Talk to them, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So the reason why everybody keeps talking about exits is because the investors need to return money to their investors. So they're making bets. There's no such thing as a sure thing, okay? They're making bets. You have to give them as much information as you can so they feel like they're betting on a winner. Because I can guarantee you that at the end of a couple of years, if the venture capitalists are not betting on winners, they will be fired. And I have seen a lot of VCs in Silicon Valley let go because they don't bet on winners. So their job depends on it. So make their job easier to believe that you are going to return their investors' money. I mean, I hate to be unglamorous about it, but it's a business. You know, it's a business. They need to make money. That's the truth of the matter, right? It's now for you with patents. I'm not a big fan of filing for patents because what I have learned with Fetcher, and I've filed a lot of patents at Fetcher, is that at the end of the day, it's about execution. And patents are so tricky that all you need to do is change one little tiny thing and the patent is obsolete, which happened to us. We spent millions of dollars protecting our patents, millions, with the best patent attorneys in Silicon Valley. And at the end of the day, somebody came in and changed one little tiny thing and our entire millions of dollars were obsolete. So patents are not going to protect you. They're going to protect you if you have a cure for cancer. Yes. If you have some incredible technology that nobody else has. Yes. But it's more important to execute. In Silicon Valley, the VCs will tell you, execute, execute, execute. That trumps everything. So I just have a different experience with patents, and I wish to God that I didn't spend all that money, because at the end of the day, it was wasted. Somebody made our patent obsolete in 5 minutes. Perkins Coie made sure of that.
Well, of course, you would expect, I totally disagree with this large statement.
Which is good.
It depends on the industry, right?
It depends on the industry, it depends on the lawyers, it depends on the internal management of patent portfolio. But you highlighted on a very important thing, is that patents needs to be managed very carefully inside a company, especially when you invest a lot of money into patents.
It's expensive.
And it's expensive, yes. And that's why it's very important to manage the patent portfolio in a business-oriented way. And and you're right to say that there's a challenge. Many large organizations have the challenge of appropriately managing their patent portfolio. But let me tell you one fact. A fact is that if you take Fortune 500 companies, 65% of their value is in intellectual property. This is a fact. Another fact is that if we take from these Fortune 500 companies, those which relate to technology and innovation, 95% of their value is in intellectual property. This is a fact. So IP is really important, but what Joy just mentioned is something which happens in organizations is true. And this is when organizations don't pay, are not careful enough in managing their internal patent portfolio. And this is a challenge. It's not, specific to one or two organizations, but, it's a challenge. If you take, for example, IBM, they have hundreds of thousands of patent applications and granted patents. It's a challenge to manage this. What patents are relevant for the market tomorrow? And this is the question: which patents we keep, which patents we let go, because patents are extremely expensive to maintain. So, it's not something which is easy to determine. You need to read the market, you need to read what's important for tomorrow. You need to decide what patents to keep, what patents to let go. And it's really difficult, because patents, when you spend money, you're linked to these patents. You don't want to let them go, and you're spending money. So so this is the core question, is how and which patents we should keep. For designing around, yes, this is something which a continuous battle in the field today, and it's a legal battle. When you have a patent, it protects your technology now, and a patent can be valued millions of dollars, or hundreds of millions, or billions of dollars, and there are patents which are not worth thousands of dollars. And why is that? It's about the breadth of the patent. So the scope, the competitive scope in the patents, and it's most of the times it's related really to what kind of industry you're in. If you are in deep technology, if you are into technical solutions, if you are coming up with new novel innovations and inventions, then patents are extremely valuable, and maybe you can get a wide scope of protection here, hard to design around. And when you go to the market and you're in the market, you have your patent on, and you have a competitor there, okay? So the competitor, the first thing they will think about, okay, so this company has a patent, okay, what are my choices? One, okay, I work with them. Two, I compete against them, and I come up with a more competitive product. So let's say you're a startup, you have your patent, and you want to collaborate with another entity. So this entity has to weigh their options, either to work with you and to pay you money for the collaboration, either license or whatever kind of joint venture or other type of collaboration, or compete with you and come with a competitive product to that. So, but to come to a competitive product, they have to see, can they design around it? And if they can design around it, how much time they need to take and how much resources they need to invest into to come up with a competing product. And so if they have to take 2 years and put this amount of money to come with a competing product, and it's less expensive for them and makes more sense from the business perspective to work with you, then they will work with you. So this is a business decision.
So, if I may, I think, thank you, Ahmed, for explaining this. And I'd like to ask just from a local perspective, and I think this question for both of you, from your perspective today, where are we as a UAE? Because I think everyone here interested about our local scene. Where are we today? We are in 2021. The country is talking today about venturing in innovation. UAE has an innovation strategy, 2030. Those innovation strategy has different vertical and education and transport and logistics and and health and I think tourism and others. We have projects in the UAE like Masdar City. We have projects like Dubai Future Foundation, Sharjah Research and Technology Park. A lot of projects here and with relation to entrepreneurship, and people are talking about VCs and other. In 2 minutes, and then after this, I'd like to open the questions for our audience. In 2 minutes, where are we today when it comes to this industry of patency or exit or entrepreneurship? Because I think for the interest of others, it's very important to understand where are we today and what is your perspective, let's say in the next 5 years, where are we going? And that's the same question for you, Joy. So maybe we start with you, Ahmed. On local scene.
Very quickly, I've seen this, the innovation wave in this country from the beginning. I've been here since 2011. And the way I personally see it, I see that we're going definitely in the right direction. There are a lot of activities going on today. The innovation ecosystem, we are not yet completely there, but we are definitely in the right direction, and we have moved at a very, very speed pace since 2015 until today. And one of the most prominent examples is where we're sitting here right now. I mean, this building, I've been coming here for the last 2 years, and the changes we've seen here in this ecosystem are incredible. And I strongly believe that this is definitely going in the right direction. This is an ecosystem where we will see startups working with other startups, working with larger companies and corporations, which need startups for this entrepreneurial spirit, where venture capital firms, definitely they'll come and they look for investment opportunities here, where there is governmental support. All these are key players for an innovation ecosystem to kick off, and we do have it now. So the different key players are aligned. Yes, it takes a little bit more time. It takes time and determination, but I definitely see it coming. And by 2025, I expect to see at least a couple of more unicorns coming out from the UAE.
Inshallah. Not from Sharjah?
From Sharjah, definitely. At
Let
least
me help you,
one.
please. Okay, so Joy, what was your perspective? Why, today I know you have your own views, and I always say we cannot compare Sharjah or UAE to Silicon Valley, and we cannot compare Silicon Valley to Shenzhen in China or in Marseille in France or others. You've been here in UAE for some times. What's your insight? Where are we today, and what do you think for the next 5 years? Where do you think we're going to go, and what probably enables? What do we need to do to really accelerate, this innovation?
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. So what's needed is money.
We have plenty of money here.
No.
People think the whole world is here for money.
No.
I mean, this is a rich region with 60% of the oil and gas is here.
Yes.
Saudi announced this week their big investment, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, everyone.
We need two things.
Yes.
Okay, in my experience. We need the cost of setting up a company to be like nothing. It needs to be zero cost. What I experienced.
Okay, just this. I'm going to
Yeah.
go back because I like to.
It needs to- you
No,
need-
you said
Yeah.
let's take one by one. So you said we need money. What do you mean we need money?
So we need more money for early stage investment. We need more money for seed funding and Series A. We need more venture capitalists to invest in early stage deal flow, number one. Number two, we need the cost of doing business for a startup. In the United States, I go on GoDaddy, I buy a domain name, probably costs me $5, and I'm in business. I don't pay any taxes because in the United States, you don't pay taxes unless you're profitable, and most startups are not profitable. For 5 to 10 years, they don't make any money. So I don't pay taxes in the United States. I can open up in my mother's garage and use her Wi-Fi, and I'm in business. Here, we need to make it easier for startups to come into fruition. We need to make
Can
it
I ask you
cheap.
questions? Really?
Yeah.
Do you really think that this $2,000 or $3,000 that entity like us, for example, charge to open and take a beautiful desk there, is stopping people from?
Yes.
Do you really think?
I do. Because the cost of doing business, it's better, it's definitely better, but we need to get it to zero, where it costs nothing to open up a business.
How many, let's do this, how many of you think that this is really a critical question? Wait, let me finish. To start a business. Really, please raise your hand if you think that the cost of doing business is preventing you to. Okay, how many? Okay, well.
A lot of hands.
Okay, well, we have 50% saying yes, 50% saying no, which is okay.
It's expensive. Rent. Every time I want to hire an employee, I have to pay for their visa. If I want to get somebody to come out, I mean, if I want to let them go, the cost, the rent, the structure, the fees, they're expensive. It costs a lot of money to do business here. So, I'm just saying that it's definitely better than it used to be, but it needs to be zero, because that's when startups will really flourish. When I can open a startup in my mother's garage and pay no money on rent and no money on visas and make it really cheap to have these young students create things, because the number one thing startups don't have is money. And even $2,000 is too much money. Even $500 is too much money, because the one thing startups don't have is money.
Okay.
So if you were going to ask me, the number one thing to help a startup is to make it completely free to start a business. No fees, no anything, just free, like in the United States. $10 on GoDaddy and you're ready to go. How do you do that? Because honestly, startups are poor. They don't have any money. I remember, at Fetcher, we used to literally be like, oh my God, we have no money. We literally were like paycheck to paycheck, meal to meal. Money is something that is really hard. So I think we need more investment, more early stage investment in entrepreneurs, and I think we need to make it as cheap as possible.
Well taken. I'll stop here, and I like to get some questions or insight. We have already one here. Go ahead, please. Introduce yourself, and can we have Mike show up? الجماعة. Yes. تحت هنا يا أدهم. تحت.
Yep, here comes a question.
Thank you very much, speakers and the panels, for the very interesting session, sharing all of your experiences. My name is Kitty from the UK, and we are social enterprise building vaccination systems for remote areas to make sure vaccines stay at the right temperature range when they are out there in the field in remote areas. So my question is, you talked a lot about exiting and returning the investments for the investors. So if today the founders would like to build their business in order to create impact for the world and they want to keep running the business, what would you suggest to the founder when they speak to investors? Thanks a lot.
I suggest that you find VCs that love impact. There are venture capitalists that love impact. I would suggest what I said earlier, which is do your homework and find VCs who are passionate about impact. That's what I would say. But even when they're passionate about impact still has to lead to an exit. You can make impact and make money. You see, people are confused. They think impact means no money. No, you make an impact and you still are profitable. So one does not exclude the other. They're still on the same projection.
Thank you. So, but if you want to keep running it instead of selling to other people, then there isn't really an exit.
But that's what I'm trying to say, is that if you're looking for, then you're not a venture capitalist business. Because you got to remember, venture capitalists have to, I mean, I know that everybody looks at me crazy, guys, but I mean, I'm a VC now, and I'm telling you that you've got to return money to your investors. You can make impact and return money. There are a lot of companies, I mean, there's one company in particular that I've invested in that is impact and profitable. But I know that eventually they're going to be acquired. But that's the truth, because VCs are not there to help your business. VCs are there to make money for their LPs. That's the bottom line. I'm sorry, I know you want to hear a different answer, but I'm just being honest.
No, I'm just curious. So.
Yeah, I'm being honest.
You know,
Thanks a lot.
One thing, as I hope Joe doesn't mind, but one thing that I was, thinking when she speaks. By the way, this is the language they speak in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's all this language. This is how aggressive they are.
Yeah, they're very American, but
yes, but that's right.
I am American.
But that's the energy. That's the energy you need to really sometimes to move things and make things happen. So I think we have a gentleman here who wants to ask as well.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. And I really love the way Ms. Joy speaks, and yeah, all of you. So, I'm Adi. I just turned 14 last month, and he's my friend Rishabh. He's 18. We are the co-founders of a global peer-to-peer learning platform called Tangled. And my question is simple. We as young entrepreneurs, it's really difficult for us to network with people and meet new people who we could work with. And one thing which you discussed was finding new people who could work with us. So example, I'm a designer and I do some programming, but I'm not really good at it. So what I did was I wanted to hire someone to do some front-end programming, and it was really difficult for us. We had to talk to a lot of people to work for free for us, because we didn't have any capital to spend for that. And apart from that, so we wanted to go to investors and we want to convince them that we can pay you back money and we are going to be a profitable startup hopefully one day. But how do we prove them that we have the skills? And I mean, we do have the skills, but how do we prove it to them once, even though we don't have experience? Could you elaborate on that?
Well, investors like to see minimal viable product. Do you know what an MVP is?
Yeah.
Okay. They want to see that MVP. So it depends on what stage you are of raising money. If you are in an angel round, then you don't need a minimal viable product. Angel round is pre-seed, which is, they call it friends, family, and fools. As you guys have heard that before, right? No? Okay. What? Yeah. So it depends on what stage you're in, okay? So you guys are looking for what, pre-seed?
No, we're done with pre-seed. We have a working product as well.
You have a minimal viable product.
We have more than 1,000 students in the platform and 50 teachers.
And you have traction, so you're generating sales.
You want to speak?
Right, so we're not exactly generating sales yet because right now our platform is free to use. We have a freemium model, so about 6 months down the line is when we plan to introduce the premium feature. So we have users right now, but we aren't charging them yet.
Okay, so you need to show that your minimal viable product has legs. Do you know what that means? Legs, it's a VC term. It means that it's up and running and it's generating income. You have to show that it's generating income. You've got to show that somebody wants it and somebody's willing to pay for it. You've got to show that. And you guys haven't done that yet. So once you get people willing to pay for your product and you increase month on month, even if you increase a little bit, but you show that the hockey stick, you know what a hockey stick is? It's a Silicon Valley term. It's you start off flat, 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 and then you go like this, the shape of a hockey stick. Investors want to see that your idea has legs and somebody's willing to pay for it, and every single month you're getting more people willing to pay for it.
Okay.
So when you're at that point, then you start raising some money.
All right. Perfect.
And you guys are not there yet. From what I'm hearing is that you have a couple of more tweaks to make on the MVP, and then you're going to release it for some traction. You've got some users, but you're not generating income yet. Is that correct?
Actually, like they're using our platform, but then we're just, we want to grow the number of people that we have on the platform before we start talking about the paid features that we have.
Yes, but are you generating money? You have users, but are they willing to pay for what you're bringing? And again, I don't know your product, so it's hard to speak in abstract.
Yeah.
All right.
So we can.
I think
we can.
I mean, unless you have a quick one, you can follow up later after this.
Okay.
Okay, so we can.
Thank you.
Anyone has a question there? Go ahead.
You just
Otherwise, we sleep here.
Good evening. My name is Haitham Ayad. I am a pharmaceutical scientist, and I was very interested about the discussion about the IB. Of course, I have already filed 3 IB, so I know the importance of IB, especially for pharmaceutical science industry. But I heard what you said, Joy, about your experience, and I respect that because this is, this is concrete experience where you lost money by filing IB. So I would like to hear from you, Ahmed, about the, let's say, concrete example from, you said about the Fortune 500. I am working for one of them, so I know that. But let's talk about locally here. Can you give us an example about a startup company that you helped it to file IB, and this IB was successful, that it generated benefit and was useful for the startup? Can you give us an example from that concrete one, please?
Well, it's conflict of interest. You can't divulge your clients.
Your IB usually is the public, so I think you can talk about, something in public. I know that here in this region, people are worried a lot confidentiality, but IB is public, so everything is, you can Google it and you find it. So I talk about something which is concrete.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So thank you for your question. Okay. So yes, as you mentioned, in the region here, or if we speak about the UAE, most of the patents which have been filed in the UAE here originate from universities. So universities' patents, they count for, I guess, more than 50 or 60% of the total number of patent applications which are filed. And universities today, in the last 2 or 3 years, they started, building these innovation parks and science parks in order to commercialize and bring to life these patents. And we've seen good examples of commercialization of these patents. University of Sharjah has very good examples of patents which are being commercialized. The United Arab Emirates University has good examples. Khalifa University has. AUS has good examples. So yes, we do see every day success stories with patents being commercialized. And as I mentioned, patents really can, secure you, a seat on the table to discuss with, other companies and bigger companies, business collaborations. This is, as a startup, it's one of the weapons you have. Okay, patents can be used as a very, very strong business weapon. You can use it as a shield or as a sword, depends on the situation. So, and should never be underestimated, particularly when you are into deep technology. This is really important. Success stories are there. Governmental entities also file for patent applications. So there are governmental entities which have increasingly focusing on patents and being commercialized. I can't mention names because many of these are our clients for confidentiality reasons. But yes, we know success stories, and it's building up. Remember that in the UAE here and in the region in general, we are still at an infantile stage in the process of building this innovation ecosystem. But things are moving up and going in the right direction, and there are success stories. So congratulations for your 3IP, and I hope that you can build business success based on this. And as Joy mentioned, business at the end of the day, is the master, and I strongly believe in that. And your legal vehicles, IP or other legal vehicles, are there as tools to achieve your business objectives.
Thank you. Any other questions? So we have another what?
Another one.
Go ahead. We'll start charging you after this, huh?
Well, as I mentioned, I think we're really going in the right direction, but there are, of course, many things which will help to accelerate the process. So one is, of course, funding. Funding is always important, and I strongly believe that the government can jump in and provide some kind of support, and there are different ways to do that, and they are already doing it in a way. However, perhaps increasing this can help until the ecosystem starts running more seamlessly. The other thing is maybe expectations, the mindset. We're still living in a mindset of quick returns. And I think, when we work with innovation, with startups, returns, we should be more patient because these startups may take some more time. So, and this is really everywhere. So even if you go to incubators or to accelerators or to innovation parks, you always find that the pressure is really high on the innovation parks to produce, to generate returns quickly. And so perhaps a little bit more patience to give these startups a chance to get the proper support during their journey without much pressure, without losing in mind the revenue generation purpose, which Joy spoke about, which is very important. The third thing which I would recommend is collaborations, as much as possible collaborations with experienced partners. MIT is very important. I know that they have some contribution here. They've collaborated with some parties in the UAE, but building more partnership with experienced partners like MIT, for example, or Silicon Valley, Stanford is really important to transfer this know-how and to build kind of a business and innovation bridge between these ecosystems and the region here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. I think point well taken, and I think this is very helpful for us as well. The team is here. I hope they listen to this feedback and we take them into consideration. So this really brings the end to our session. I'll give just a closing remark to my colleagues here, maybe a couple minutes here and a couple minutes here, and then we will close this session. So on their behalf, again, I'd like to thank you, but Maybe Joe, you want to say something before we end?
Yeah, I think that Sharjah, if they pulled this off, could be the center for tech, and it could be the startup ecosystem and an example. Because at the end of the day, you have to invest in people. And if you can do that, you could be the ecosystem like powerhouse for the entire UAE.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. And Ahmed?
Well, I strongly believe in that the UAE will become one of the most important startup and innovation hubs in the world, not only in the Middle East. This is something I always believed in, and from the first day I came to the UAE in 2011, I believed that, inshallah, the era of Ibn Sina will come back from the United Arab Emirates. And inshallah, this beautiful center here, we'll see it the next year, crowded with startups and innovators, and having innovation cafes like in the MIT, for example, where business takes place between different peers in coffee shops and stuff like that.
Inshallah. I hope you won't wait for next year. This year you will have this happening, inshallah. Just give us a couple of months. We have nice plans to share with you. And speaking of the plans, we do a lot of activities here, functions, and we have two big activities starting in February. One is the Women in Technology Conference. We have a big programs to promote the role of women in technology and in business. So this is something that's coming. And we'll be also hosting a 2 months emerging technologies exhibition here, promoting the latest into smart cities technologies. And this is also open to companies from different perspectives. So I really like to take this opportunity to thank you, Joy and Mr. Ahmed, to be with us here tonight, for taking really some time from your important schedules and plans. I'd like to also thank our audience here for being with us here tonight, and we really appreciate you being here today, and I hope we would see you also in the future. And as I said in the beginning, this is a mindset, this is a culture. It doesn't happen overnight, but I think if we collectively really try to work together, I think we will be there. Thank you very much, and enjoy your evening, and good night as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.